Hello and welcome to the Aegex webinar. Today we are hearing from our host NetMotion, who will be talking about operational intelligence in a mobile-driven environment. Our speakers today are Chris Edgman and Kira Rice, both with NetMotion software. I'd like to direct you to your control panel on your GoToWebinar screen. You are able to ask questions on this panel. So anytime during the webinar, you're able to type in your question and the organizers will be able to see that. We'll first, however, let the presenters give their presentation, and then at the end, we'll have about 5 minutes to do question and answer. If we do not get to your question during that time, we will contact you privately afterwards. Also, this webinar is going to be recorded, and so you will be able to receive a copy of it afterwards. We'd like to begin with an introduction from the CEO of Aegex Technologies, Thomas Vincilette, and he will then hand it over to our NetMotion presenters. Tom?
Thanks, Lee. I appreciate everyone joining today. This is, I think, a great partnership that we've put together with NetMotion. We became engaged with them through Operation Convergent Response 2018, the annual event, where we bring together with Verizon, Nokia, and so many others, 50 other technology companies to really push technology in the space of public safety and study different disaster scenarios and how technologies can positively impact extreme situations. Obviously, with our primary market being in oil and gas, pharma, chemical, and public safety and defense, working with NetMotion in some of these scenarios really proved how this can impact businesses, our customers, their customers, in collaborating. Taking the NetMotion software, where from an enterprise standpoint, IT departments, so forth, organizations can monitor network health, they can monitor bandwidth, operating inside of a refinery or a chemical plant where signals may be altered or weak, locking down devices and controlling those devices, and understanding where performance is being lost, helps really have that impact. That software running on Aegex 10 intrinsically safe tablet gives a global organization very amazing local control over those devices that have been deployed. So as we deal with large-scale deployments where security is a big issue, we're trying to help that customer narrow the focus of a device to a specific use case. This gives them really incredible management control. So I think this is great. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you at OCR this year in November. But for now, Kira, Chris, I'll turn it over to you guys and help us understand how this can have a great impact for them.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Tom. We appreciate the partnership. So like Tom and Lee mentioned, today we're going to go through a high-level overview of NetMotion and speak a little bit about our partnership. So in your current organizations, I really like you to take a minute and think about the personnel that are managing any type of critical operations and how they have the most reliable digital communication tools and how important it is to have these during situations, let's say, when every second counts. So whether it's a crucial industrial operation or a mission critical emergency, your team really needs the mobile applications that they can count on, depend on, really in order to communicate and manage any information in real time. So with the Aegex intrinsically safe tablets running NetMotion software, mobile users can really bring the apps they need into hazardous, combustible environments and be assured that they will function optimally. That's really what's, front of mind and most important. So like I said, we're really grateful for this opportunity. So thank you so much for having us on the call. And we're going to showcase our best-in-class solution and how we can not just complement Aegex, but maximize our joint sales efforts. So Chris, if you can move it on to the next slide, please.
Okay.
So on the next slide, we're really going to talk a few key points on NetMotion.
Is the next slide going?
I have not seen it advance yet. So while he's getting it up, we're really going to be speaking of a few key points on NetMotion. It's up now. Fantastic.
Sorry.
So you're good. We're headquartered in Seattle, so fun little city if you've never been. But some exciting news. We have not only offices in London and Tokyo, we're expanding into Canada as well. So we've always focused on the needs of mobile workers, and we've been around since 2001. So you might be thinking, why 2001? Really, I want you to reel back and think about really what occurred in 2001 and the first responders and 9/11. So the first responders really became first communicators. Over the past 15, 16 years, we've grown steadily as the market for mobile solutions continues to expand. So our products are rock solid, and we've retained nearly every customer since 2001. I know you can see on our screen now the 97% customer retention rate. That's super important to us, and we take customer service very seriously. Also, the 91 Net Promoter Score is also a direct reflection of how we treat our customers and how important they are to us. So, yeah, that's fine, Chris. You can go on to the next slide.
Well, I was going to mention, so a lot of our technology is proprietary, and we have 20+ patents in place to protect us in the market as well.
Great. And this just highlights our world-class technical support, so, really adds into best-in-class solution. So we are available 24/7, 365 days a year. We're staffed exclusively by NetMotion employees, and our support center is located, like I said, in Seattle, Washington. Some numbers that just stick out to me, 91% is obviously what I mentioned on the previous slide, is our Net Promoter Score. And then the customer satisfaction rate is 98%. So, like I said, we've grown steadily as the market for mobile solutions continues to expand, but we also have proved that our products are rock solid, and we've retained nearly every customer since 2001. Great. So who we are. So we're going to deep dive a little bit more into our platform. I know I gave you an overview of NetMotion, but a little bit more about our platform. So from a high level, we really provide visibility into your mobile deployment. So think many, many networks. We give you the keys to really be successful and run that mobile deployment the best you possibly can. So think of us as having a two-pronged solution. We really have the mobile performance side of it and the operational intelligence, which we will break out to as we go on during this call. But mobility, just think the visibility into the mobile deployment really gives you all the information you need to run your mobile deployment successfully, the connectivity, the persistence, the prioritization and preemption, anything in terms of mobile performance and how it's measured. That's really one prong of our solution that has many different features. And then secondly, our operational intelligence piece, which is really exactly what it sounds, operating in a more intelligent manner. But what we do is we give you real-time data and dashboards that provide all type of reporting across the entire mobile deployment. Chris, is there anything you'd like to add on this slide?
I don't think so. Or let me try. No, just how, what we're best at is actually improving the performance of our customers' business critical applications, mobile applications. And then along with that, we're giving them a lot of visibility into the networks that they don't own, that are outside their firewall, and how the devices and the applications are actually performing on those networks.
Great.
So if you want to start that one.
I'll just start it and then you can finish it. So think of, on this slide, you can really just put your thinking caps on and think of why you would purchase Aegex and or NetMotion in today's world. You think about how, mobility is changing, the mobile landscape's constantly evolving. I mean, just think today and how much, like I said, things have changed and how dependent we've become on mobility. I know it's 11:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I can tell you I've probably looked at my phone probably about 97 times at this point. So we're becoming more and more dependent on our mobile devices. Chris, you can walk through the trends and challenges.
Right. So, most of our customers are, like I said, running our software on a ruggedized tablet or laptop or device in the field that they're using actually to perform a business function. It's not just for generic remote access to connect at night and access things or upload, download. They're using this device as another tool in their belt, and so they're trying to use it in a mobile environment, a wireless environment that is going to have connectivity problems. They're going to lose connectivity. They're going to switch between networks. They're going to have low bandwidth at times, and that's going to cause application performance issues, as well as make it challenging for them to maintain their VPN connection and their desktop session. So just minor interruptions in the mobile environment to the communications can cause lots of issues on the device side for that user, for the applications. And our goal is to take away all those pain points and make that experience as productive as seamless as possible, so that they really can use the device as another tool in their belt. They don't have to be a part-time IT guy that can troubleshoot connectivity or networks or VPNs or anything like that when they start having troubles in the field. And I guess that in turn, it's two-sided. So, the ROI our customers typically demonstrate is, the guys in the field, the people in the field are more productive. They're getting more visits in per day, overtime's gone down, things like that, more trouble tickets closed out. But on the back end, we also helping decrease the cost of supporting that mobile deployment by improving your management and visibility over those devices, those applications, those users, and the control you have over the data in motion, so that we have a policy engine so you can actually go in and granularly define, what applications you want to run over certain networks and what you might want to block and prioritize with QoS and so on and so forth. So the overall, ROI ends up that the end users in the field are going to be more productive, be able to get their jobs done in a more efficient manner, and it's going to be easier and cheaper to support them.
Thanks, Chris. Great overview. In terms of the NetMotion vertical that we really focus on, I know we said that we give you visibility into mobile deployments, but I want you to think anyone that really has a mobile deployment and requires visibility, anyone that has any mobile devices on the field, I'm sure would be a great fit for. So some of the top verticals we'd like to highlight are obviously on this slide. So here's a look at the type of organizations that use NetMotion. So these organizations that have had a significant investment on mobile technology. So they have large field fleets, and to some degree, their success or failure is really determined by those field organizations. So look at some of the customers on here. So we basically are ensuring that they have the right tools to do their job. And it's the utmost concern for these companies and organizations and ones like them that you might be able to think of. So anyone that has a large field fleet and their success or failure is really determined by these field fleets, if you will. So this is why we've really been able to expand in some of these verticals. But, we answer for many customers out in the marketplaces for sure. So think any customers that have a mobile workforce, we are a fit.
Exactly. That's sort of the common denominator across all these verticals are these companies depend on their mobile deployments for their business, for their operations. And so they want to invest a lot, obviously, in mobility into mobile technology, and because they depend on that for their business. And that's kind of why, whether they're in energy, transportation, healthcare, government, the use case is kind of the same, or the challenges are kind of the same. And just, as sort of where we fall in terms of a heat map, most of our customers are probably, in terms of number in the government sector, they were the early adopters of mobile technology, like Kira mentioned, but the field service side with the large cable companies and things like that, that's our largest vertical in terms of number of licenses. So. And so I'll take this one and start off. So what we have today within NetMotion is we have 3 products. We have our mobility product in the middle. This slide's probably not in order. It was our first original product that the company was founded on. You know, our CTO is one of the 4 original developers of mobility back when he was at WRQ, and then they spun off in 2001 and started NetMotion. And they started with mobility, and the whole idea with mobility, everything we do is we're a software company. Everything's client server-based software, but the mobility client is a client you install on the devices. It provides the always-on secure connectivity for those mission-critical apps. So it creates a encrypted tunnel between the device and the server. The server then proxies all those applications for those devices in the field, so that if it's a railroad customer in an intermodal yard and they're driving around in a truck, in a hostler, and they're trying to run their applications, they're going to experience challenges with interference. They're going to lose connectivity. They're going to want to switch between Wi-Fi and cellular and back and forth as those networks are available. And they're also going to have challenges with bandwidth. And so mobility is going to take away all those problems. It's going to optimize that traffic. It's going to give you the ability to control that traffic with our policy manager to restrict applications and block applications, prioritize different applications. So in times when there's limited bandwidth, you can prioritize your asset management software over Outlook, so you don't have a large attachment taking up all of the bandwidth. It's typically deployed on premise because the devices are in the field, whether they're nationwide or locally or at a plant or something like that. But the devices are in the field at these locations using multiple networks. They're going to connect back to a server on premise that then is going to give them access to those applications that you need to run in the field. So it's typically deployed on premise. Our second product that we released, probably around 2011 was Diagnostics. It's really a network performance management tool for the networks that you don't own. So a lot of our customers utilize the cellular networks heavily for their operations, but they don't have a lot of visibility in those networks. And if you've ever tried to work with the carriers to get coverage maps and things like that, you're kind of working in the dark sometimes. And so what Diagnostics does, it collects all the data about these networks and then allows us to report on that and then help you with your end-to-end troubleshooting, so that if the device is down in the field, it can go through a series of diagnostics tests to hopefully get those people in the field back up and running as quickly as possible. So it helps with your troubleshooting. It can be deployed on premise or in the cloud. Either we provide that as a service as well. And then most recently on the far right, we have our Mobile IQ software. So this is our operational intelligence platform. It's a single pane of glass to see how the mobility and diagnostics products are performing in the environment, and to give you the information about how these networks, devices, and applications are performing. So there's a lot of really good visual dashboards and reports and alerts that can be configured, and it just gives you an overall view of the health and the impact that we're having on the mobile deployment. So, and in the end, we'll go through some of these screenshots and things like that. This slide is really talking about our mobility software. Like I said, it provides that application persistence. So typically when customers roll out an application to the field without NetMotion, they'll put an IPsec VPN on there, and they'll have users use two-factor authentication, and they'll get logged in, and they'll launch their app and log in, and then they'll experience a small drop in connectivity. Everything comes crashing back down. That usually basically got to start over at square one, and hopefully everything's working to where they don't have to reboot or call the help desk and then just sitting idle in the field for 30 minutes when they could be working. We keep all that intact so that we provide the persistence so that the application, the session, and that user's overall desktop or experience with that device kind of stays intact, so that when they lose connectivity, we just basically spoof the application and tell them, hey, we're still connected, the network's still here, let's don't send traffic. And then once we regain that connectivity, everything just picks up where it left off. Our client basically sets between the applications and the networks, which puts us in a unique position to basically see all the traffic going back and forth and control it. So that's when we have our adaptive policies, and I say adaptive because they're network aware, if you will. So the policies, unlike a typical firewall ACL that's just on all the time, you can have rules be in effect based on an SSID, an IP address, a type of network, a time of day, client versions, different conditions that would make rules active to choose, hey, maybe I'm only going to allow this application when they're on a Wi-Fi network and not on the cellular network, things like that. It also allows you to do the prioritization in QoS, so that if you've got business critical applications, a work order, dispatch type application, SCADA type applications, anything like that, you can prioritize those over things like Outlook and Windows Update, so that if we're used in the field and somebody misconfigures something, that you don't have updates coming down that are impacting performance of those users. Also, we put a lot of, we do compression and optimization, so we're going to improve the performance as best as possible. Like I said, we designed this in the beginning around some really low bandwidth networks when people are actually still using private radio, so it's well adapted and suited to perform well when we have limited bandwidth. And we do compression, we optimize it, and we built some special optimization around voice video that can really help improve the MOS score. If you just go to search YouTube under NetMotion, we have a nice example of how mobility impacts a video conference when they start introducing latency, and they compare it to a competing product, and you see how we kind of keep the stream still usable while the other one starts to break down. So it does a lot to just improve the overall performance of the applications, give you control over that traffic, and then give you some performance increases as well. Like I said, our second product, Diagnostics, we developed this so that we could get originally to get some information about how the cellular networks are performing, to help our customers out, to help ourselves out. From there we can branched out to pretty much we can collect data from any network that they're connecting to. So any networks you don't own, Wi-Fi networks, public hotspots, things like that. It allows you to build cellular coverage maps. It does bandwidth and latency testing, and it does the troubleshooting that I mentioned, so that it can give you that root cause analysis if someone's down. So it basically starts at the device level. Do I have a network? Do I have an IP? Can I get to the internet? Can my VPN connect back to the firewall? And then once I'm connected back into my internal network, I can run checks against all my applications. So is my web server port not responding, or can I not ping this server? So any of the typical checks you run through, like ping, trace routes, and its lookups, things like that, it can automate those tests. It can test TCP ports, web pages, so that it checks every link in the chain from the device all the way back into your internal application, so that if something's not working, it'll help you identify that as quickly as possible and get them up and running as quickly as possible in the field. And then this brings us to Mobile IQ, and Mobile IQ is our business intelligence, operational intelligence platform, where we basically tie the two products together. It helps our customers make smarter decisions. They can see in real time what their traffic flows look like, what the devices look like, how are they performing, where are they located. We have some nice reports that give about overall network health, and then the overall impact of our software. This is available through on-premise or in a cloud-based solution as well. We can host that. And with this, when you combine all the products together, basically we turn your devices into data sensors on the network. So every device out there, in addition to being a tool on that user's belt so that they can get their job done, in the meantime, it's going to collect all this information about the networks that you're using, that you're paying for, and that you're relying on for your business. And it's going to be able to turn those devices into basically network probes to collect data from those different types of networks and report those performance metrics back into the Mobile IQ dashboard. And so this is an example, one of the dashboards from MobileIQ, and this is our mobility and diagnostics impact. And it shows us a lot of things here. One of the key things I really focused in on right away is that 58 minutes, this is over the last 30 days. It shows 67 users using mobility. This total minutes saved, this is how we're counting up all the times we were able to persist those applications and those sessions for those users. And we broke that down on a daily basis so that it's really easy to extrapolate an ROI from this, because if you have, 1,000 users and you're using, and they're losing basically an hour a day, and you know how much you pay per hour, it adds up pretty quick. And so that's generally one of the ways customers see ROI on our products. And so this is a really nice way to go and see the overall impact. It also shows you the number of times they lost connectivity or had disruptions on the different types of networks, and the different times also here on the right when it says roaming, the number of times they switched networks, and we were able to maintain all those applications and sessions during those roaming events as well. So another report in the dashboard is an activity map basically for our devices, and I mentioned that they could measure bandwidth, so it has the ability to do bandwidth testing on the network. So instead of hitting speedtest.net, you can just bounce it off our server inside your network and get an accurate view of basically what my upload download speeds look like and what the latency is. So even though they're on a 4G network here, you can see from John Knopf's iPad what his download speed, what his upload speed, the latency was. If this was a scheduled test or if it was manually run by the user, they have that option. You can manage that from the server or give them the ability to do that in the field. But this just gives an example of like when we're trying to show the performance of the network and the cellular network in this case in different areas in terms of bandwidth. I mean, we can tell you what you have in terms of signal quality, RSSI, RSRP, SINR, all those type of things. But then, what does that mean in terms of performance overall? And that's what we're able to do for you in the field, either automatically or manually. And just another example of one of our of some of the visibility we have within the dashboards, and this is a detailed application usage dashboard, and you can see here that it's ranked domain usage, data usage by domain, and you can see our top talkers. Basically, here we filtered on ESPN. It showed us the different networks that someone accessed that domain over, which user it was, what ports, what host names they accessed, how much data was sent back and forth. So this is sort of the in-depth data visibility we give you into the applications, into the mobile deployment, so that you can see, hey, I can spot rogue applications and then take action on that within the policy manager to say, okay, well, somebody's running BitTorrent. I want to go block that. I can just say block BitTorrent.exe, push that out over the air, and then it's blocked at the device level, so you don't have that denied traffic, consuming bandwidth that the other applications need access to. And then a last known location report, so a real-time view of every device, where they are real-time, throughout the world, and you can drill down in other areas over here where you have the circle and 32 devices underneath there. So just an overall another snapshot to let you know where the devices are. And then going back to that device map, this is sort of a day in a life map of the device, so we can see somebody was at Legoland and carrying their device around throughout the park and to the parking lot and left. And then these events where the twos are, we could drill down, and that might be a bandwidth test, a diagnostics test. It could be any network event, whether they connected to a Wi-Fi, lost cellular, lost GPS, any of that, any networking type events or performance type events, we could drill down and see that and see where that user actually was located and the time it took place. So, in summary, Kira, did you want to jump in here too, or okay, are you
sure.
Go? I'll say that like I mentioned at the beginning, our goal is to provide values to our customers by helping improve the performance of those business critical applications that they're running in the field on their mobile devices, the ruggedized devices. We know all the challenges that they're going to have in the mobile environment. We've been around a long time. We've developed these tools to, help bring visibility and improve the performance and help our customers, become more productive, reduce support costs and expenses, monitor data use, monitor application use, and also improve overall security. In addition to, hopefully, one typical thing we might add here is that, in terms of help desk tickets, typically customers see a large reduction in that, pre and post NetMotion.
Absolutely. And, all the points that Chris just covered, the different feature sets of our solution, just, keeping in mind for how we started the webinar, I'm sure that your team either has or needs mobile applications that they can count on an intrinsically safe device, right, in order to communicate and manage information in real time. So they're all dependent on it, right? So with the Aegex tablets running NetMotion software, your mobile users can now bring these apps they need not only just into life and be dependable, but into these hazardous combustible environments and be ensured that they're going to function properly at the most, important time. So I would say that's probably our last slide. And in closing, we want to just thank you again for having us on the call today and also for the partnership with Aegex. I'm going to hand it back over to Lee to talk a little bit about OCR.
Okay, thank you so much, both of you. We do have a couple of quick questions. Again, Chris, which operating systems does NetMotion run on? Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, so we run on Windows, Android, and iOS.
Okay, terrific. And let's see, it says any potential for the mobility session continuity product for small, intrinsically safe IoT sensors? I guess that question is as asking probably about our Aegex IoT sensors. So I guess they're inquiring about whether we can get some session continuity for those.
We can. If it's a Linux-based device, we cannot. If it's Android or Windows or iOS, then we have a solution for you. But it would just depend on the device and what kind of device it is.
Excellent. Okay. And we can, and for our, Aegex customers out there, we can continue that conversation as well if you have specific questions about our products and how they would work in conjunction with NetMotion. But the last question here is, how does your licensing work for the NetMotion?
And so we license by device, so per device, and then we sell that either as a perpetual license or a software subscription or MRC, just depending on the customer's preference. And we're pretty much 100% channel.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you very much. That's all the time we have for right now. I'd like to